We're continuing our focus on the Osun elections, where the APC won the governorship elections there. We're joined now by Mr. Kenneth Odidika, who is a legal practitioner. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you for having me.
What do you think? I mean, most people read about the goings-on before the elections, during, even I imagine now, some of them would have read the papers about the outcome of these elections. You have been in touch with news making the rounds about these elections. As a matter of fact, the outcome of that elections. What are your thoughts on this?
Thank you very much for that question. The security that was put in place by the federal government went a long way to ensuring that we had the kind of election we had in Osun State. It is quite unfortunate that people don't seem to appreciate the fact that without security, you can't even have the free and fair election we were talking about. President Jonathan has told us in the past that even his own election, that his own becoming a president, is not worth a drop of any Nigerian's blood. That he'd rather lose an election than people died or get maimed trying to vote for him. So, in trying to ensure that he actually achieves that which had been all this while been saying, he put in place through the military and the police a system that will ensure that you feel free to go and cast your vote without fear of being molested by anybody, but whether you're APC or PDP or Labour.
Some of them say that there was over-militarization on the day.
How does it occur to us that whenever APC claims there's over-militarization, that are beneficiaries of that over-militarization? Check all the places they complain about over-militarization.
Ekiti.
Let's start from where? It started from somewhere. Edo State was the first. Who won the election there? APC. The next one was, I think, Ondo. So, who won the election? Was it PDP? I think that was Labour. Then, Ekiti, PDP. Now, Osun, APC. You see, what happened is it's propaganda. You know, Nigerians are literate, but there's a high level of ignorance in Nigeria. Just like this Ebola thing now. Some people are making a killing out of hand sanitizers. That's supposed to be against bacteria. And we're talking about virus. It is the same thing, propaganda. Expecting to sway people with falsehood. Now, remember, prior to this election, somebody in Nigeria had said, I'm talking about somebody, a high-ranking Nigerian, look, we will set up a parallel government. If that's not criminal, I don't know what is.
No, but for the hand sanitizers, let me just go on there, because I mean, the medical personnel had actually said, yes, you can wash your hands and sanitize your hands.
Against what?
That
What
you could say.
Take yours and read it. It's against 99.something% of bacteria. There's nothing viral about it. There's no virus about. Doesn't say anything about virus. But people are making a killing now. I was already on Saturday. Everybody had a small. You can imagine the kind of money people are making now, rushing in sanitizers. That has nothing to do with Ebola.
But at least if people have extra hygiene, I mean, not to take away from the topic, there's nothing wrong with that. Bacteria also has a space.
No, we're talking about propaganda. Say the right thing. Say good. Attack bacteria. Be clean. Keep your hands clean. They don't say it has to do with Ebola. It is something that APC usually does. Propaganda.
But just quickly, you know, would you ever think, or do you ever think that there could be any such thing as an over-militarization? In
Nigerian context, no. That's ensured that people went to vote. Did you hear about anybody being slapped? Whether by even a civilian? What
I mean is, do you think that there could ever be a situation, if you do not agree that, you know, there's too much deployment of security men here, do you think that we could ever get to such a situation? So, for instance, if in a state we have maybe close to 100,000 security personnel, would that constitute over-militarization for you?
You know, when you say over, it suggests too much.
Yes.
Now, I don't know what would constitute too much in the circumstance. Because what we want is, let there be peace, so that I can go and cast my vote without being molested by anybody, whether from my party or from another party.
So you do not think that such a situation could ever exist?
Right now, I can't envisage it. Because the problem is going to be, you put soldiers there, and they start stopping me from coming out to vote, or telling me where to vote. That's when I get concerned. But if it is, look, I don't want to see anybody with even a stick. Just go there, cast your vote, don't point at anybody's face. That's That's what they're doing. And that's why APC is enjoying it. But then they will always shout in advance in case they're lost. They will not tell you they will set up a parallel government.
But Abiodun's comment here says the PDP tried to make the election look free and fair, but it wasn't fair, if not for us that we stood on what we believe in.
Now, this whoever the Abiodun is, saying he stood, if there was an intention to stop them, we know what, we'll be shouting, today we'll be discussing how many people died, how many people were shot by the police or by the military. That's what we're discussing today. So the Abiodun must be living in some delusion that he stood by what, we didn't read anywhere that some people were being forced to get out of a polling station. We didn't hear that some people were demonstrating because they were not allowed to vote.
No, but couldn't
so he's saying now we stood. You see, when he said I stand by this, for instance, I'm standing by my convictions now. But if there were to be some other force here now trying to move against me, and I now resist it, that's when you say I'm standing by. He didn't stand on anything because there was no intention, there was no move towards stopping him from voting or towards subverting the votes he had cast.
I mean, even if they voted and didn't go home, they voted and then hung around until the outcome.
If the military wanted them to leave, would they leave? They will leave. If the military wanted them to leave, you know they will leave.
But what if they resisted? There would have been violence.
That's what I'm saying. So there was no move to even move them. That's what I'm trying to establish here. Because if the military were moving them, then and they stopped and they resisted the push, then he could say what he's saying now. But there was no time. They were told you must leave. I listened to the acting Inspector General of Police where he said, please, after casting your vote, leave if you can't stay there quietly. He said it on television. I heard him. I saw him. So if you stood there to watch over a vote, that was okay. Provided we didn't try to ferment trouble. So
it was interesting because we also saw that and we saw the reactions to it initially before because he quoted the law. The law is that when you're done with the elections, you should go home. There should be no waiting behind. There should be no loitering. So the question will be what will constitute loitering. So I think he had to make that extra provision that if you stay back peacefully and peaceably, that will be fine. But when he quoted the law, a lot of people, raised objections to that particular line. But just to bring home, just what some people are saying, they're saying that we're faced with the 2015 elections in about 7 months or thereabout, less than. And we will not have this amount of security men to deploy across board. Are we then saying that we cannot have free and fair elections unless we have this amount of security men? In one state, we're looking at 25,000 people.
Now, that question, are you directing it to yourself or to the president? Because the people who go to cast the votes, the people who carry their cudgels and their machetes, are not president or vice president or even the governor. It's the ordinary Nigerians. So we should advise ourselves that, look, we don't even need these soldiers to go and cast our votes and go home. Whoever wins, wins. That means just like Araboshala got 394,000, and the closest thing was 292, then Araboshala has won. So go and cast your votes. At the end of the day, they'll count it. If my man wins, oh, well and good. If my man loses, also well and good. That is for us to advise ourselves. Okay, we don't have 10 million soldiers.
So what do we throw the advice to? Because first of all, yes, we advise ourselves, but if we're looking at decreasing the number of security men, who do we begin to talk to? That this is not ideal. We don't deploy the security men, do we?
No, we talk to ourselves because you just said that we don't have that kind of personnel to deploy for the general election in February next year. Mm-hmm. We don't have that. That's why I say we don't have 10 million soldiers. Mm-hmm. So, but who are is it the soldiers that kill us? We kill ourselves because my man must win. When now is the time for you to ensure that your man must win. By doing what? By doing things you're supposed to do to convince me to come and vote for your man. It is not when you haven't done what you're supposed to do. And like the last speaker said, some of these are emotional. I might know that my man is completely hopeless, but I'll say, look, that's the man I'm going to vote for. It's not your business. And if a lot of folks decide to vote for a useless man, that means the useless man wins. And that's the beauty of democracy. We take our useless man and we enjoy him. So it is for us to say, look, there should be no violence.
The question would be, how did we talk to ourselves to get in this amount of security men in the very first instance?
No. What is happening now is it is still within the competence of the federal government to deploy the 25,000 soldiers. 25 times 36. 25,000 times 36 states plus Abuja, that's 37. What do you get? Do you have that number of soldiers? So right now, it's just like saying, look, I have a child, so I can pay his or her fees in a Covenant University. Now, when I have 6 children, can I pay the fees in Covenant University? For instance, I might say now, come to Unilag, or come to federal government school where I will pay maybe 20,000 per annum. So now, federal government is in a position to deploy 50,000 soldiers to state to ensure that there's peace. When it is 37 states, that's 36 plus 1, it doesn't have that 25,000 times 37.
So we shouldn't expect peaceful elections.
No, that's why I said right now we should be telling ourselves, if you want to go and die, that's a totally problem. I'm not going to die for any politician.
The thing is, if we keep saying that these elections are dress rehearsals for what we expect in 2015, are we really dress rehearsing in the area of security?
Who is calling it dress rehearsal? It's the same propaganda people. Have you heard the president say this is a dress rehearsal? Have you had even, who have you had say, if you can quote, you'll find out that you can only quote from APC people who are saying this dress rehearsal, particularly when they lose. They'll tell you this shows what we've seen in 2015. They're coming out to rig.
But a lot of people, even analysts, say that. I mean, usually a lot of people think that when you have singular elections, it gives INEC the opportunity to show what it can do in terms of, an
that
improvement.
That is not dress rehearsal. Now, it's not dress rehearsal. What is happening now, INEC conducts an election in a state and finds out its shortcomings in that state. It improves in the next one. Now,
with the hope that they would be better in
so that ultimately, when they have the general election, they will have come to near perfect, can never be perfect.
Yes.
No, where we have perfect.
So
election.
what do we call that?
No, we don't call it. You see, dress rehearsal in our context. You see, because we take every word, every expression in the English language, and we Nigerianize it. When we say dress rehearsal here, there's a negative, particularly in elections, there's a negative connotation in Nigeria. Look, see it, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay, maybe you should borrow me another word that would have a positive connotation.
If you use it the way the Englishman meant it to be, but I know how we use it in Nigeria, and I know they'll be using that as in a negative manner to show, oh, you see them again. They're going to use military to intimidate us. And when we asked the last speaker, that intimidation, is it not across board if there were to be intimidation? He said, there's bet. There's no bet. If all of us feel intimidated, we can come out to vote.